It's 10 wonderful films were nominated, but only one will take the award for Best Picture. And I have to go to the envelope for that, and I will. Here it comes. And may I see Oppenheimer? Yes. Yes,
All right. So, I thought I'd open up with a little Al Pacino. The great, legendary Al Pacino, who figured out a way to mess up the Oscars last night. I don't know if you guys were watching. Welcome to the Steve Squared Show. I'm your host, Funny Man Stevie K. Monday, March 11th. Hope everybody's well. Now, get adjusted. I hope. So what I'm going to do is blame, if there was an audience drop today, I'm going to blame it on the time and not my abilities or talent. I'll say people didn't turn their clocks ahead because that is what we did this weekend. Did you all spring forward? I do like springing forward. You know me, I'm a spring and summer guy. I like the warmer weather, the longer days. I like those, as I think most of us do, those spring and summer evenings. To me, it's that. First of all, this is a hair problem I'm having. Bear with me. It's a kind of a sign that we've made it through the winter. I guess you could still get some bad weather. I mean, it's really windy outside. I don't know if you have been outside. The wind is really whipping up, so it makes it feel really cold. But I went for a run this weekend, and there was, I saw a lot of people out on the path, and I saw a lot of, I saw a lot of bird watchers, and it was interesting. It made me think of, I saw everybody with their binoculars, and there was large groups. So aside from it being, annoying to have to navigate, because there's a lot of them, and they stand right in the middle of the path. So I had to run, navigate them. But it's funny. I saw a story about this owl. Have you heard about this? I thought this was kind of, it's not that interesting, but to me it was a little interesting. There's this owl. Here it is. I thought this was an interesting story. So I see these bird watchers, right? And then things always end up tied together in a bow that I do. So Flacco the owl, they're trying to get memorialized or a statue for. Flacco, you remember this story? There was an owl that was in the Central Park Zoo. Flacco, well, they're naming it Flacco now. And he escaped from the Central Park Zoo. And so he was trying to get wherever. And they say here that they were trying to get this owl. They were trying, the Central Park Zoo people, and then they got New York City. So finally, they gave Flacco his release and let him fly in the wild, and then people in the wild in New York City, which is the wild, and people were trying to, take pictures of it and everything like that. And what had happened was they named it. Oh, this is funny. It's for the Flacco Act, and it stands for Feathered Lives Also Count. So Feathered Lives Also Count, for Flacco, that stands for Flacco, and they had named this owl because apparently this owl, which everybody was excited made it to his release out of Central Park Zoo, crashed into a building and perished. Now, they have the legislative branch, or the state Senate, is putting a bill forward. Seems like a complete waste of time, but why not? They're not doing anything else. So what they're doing is they have the Flacco Act, which they are making buildings, actually this is true, they're making buildings in New York City have little more safety guards for birds that might fly into the building. So they could see the building better, or the glass, or what have you. I don't know how they're able to do that unless you knew what an owl or bird is seeing. But I don't even know. Yeah, I guess, it was pretty interesting. So I wanted to try to look for an owl and show you guys. And, of course I have everything but an owl. I have this, which is kind of like, it's not really. An owl looks a little like this. If you see, I'll show you a picture of Flacco. Can you see a picture of Flacco? Hold on. There's Flacco. So, and this is what I had. It's not really that close. This is more like a pigeon or maybe, I don't know what this is. Not a turkey? Maybe a turkey, I don't know. But that's not it. So then I said, well, here's a turkey. Then I had a turkey. That's not it. So I was trying to I thought I had an owl, like an owl statue. And of course I have the American eagle, and that's not a statue. So I have every bird except for an owl. But anyway, an owl can always, an owl, it says who, and it turns its head all the way around. I wish I had that kind of neck mobility. But, so they're going to try to do this, and it's funny, the owl, they were following the owl on Instagram and all these things, and people were sending, it became a whole viral thing, of course, as anything does. Waste of time, but that's and you can send to the Central Park Zoo. You could send some gifts for Flacco the owl. Anyway, if you so desire. Going forward from that, so how do you feel? I mean, do you feel tired? You lose an hour of sleep, and they make such a big. I think it's. They make such a big deal of it. You get adjusted in a day or two. I mean, if you really have a difficult time getting adjusted, that's a problem. So do you know there are 2 states that do not follow the turn back and turn forward of the clocks? Let's see, I'll give you guys a moment to see if you know, before I give you the answer, which 2 states follow this. Let's see. Do you know? The first state begins with an A. Arizona, correct. And the second one is Hawaii. So Arizona and Hawaii do not follow the standard time changing or the fall back, spring forward. And also Puerto Rico. So if you're ever going to Puerto Rico, they do not follow that as well. So they're trying to do away with it. They were talking about just standard time and this nonsense. And they still never give a good, sound, fundamental reason why they do this. Like I said, I like the longer days and things like that. I like that 7 o'clock, you can still enjoy some sunshine, or 7:30, 8 o'clock. I like that. They go back and forth. Is it for energy at one time in our past, and then it was for conservation another time, for the farmers. They never. It's all so vague. I think they just do it now because they do it, and like anything else, right? You ever question things you do, but you don't know why you do them anymore. They might have made sense at one time, and now you just continue to do it. So anyway, that's the gist of it. This was, I also thought, obviously this is, I haven't talked to you since we celebrated leap year. So, and this shows this woman, a couple of people how this big debate on what day they should celebrate their birthday. And this person talks about how tough it was growing up as a child, because the school would put birthdays for the kids on the calendars, and there was no birthday to put for this child. and so sometimes it wasn't recognized. I mean, really, is the school that moronic that they can't figure out to just put it the 28th or the 1st? They have to torture this child and make him wait 4 years for his birthday. But this woman, 83, holds a photo of herself. This woman is actually celebrating, and it says here her 21st birthday. Obviously, they're being facetious. But it says she celebrated her 21st birthday. She's actually 83. I think it should be March 1st. It's not the 28th because it's the day after. So if the day after there's a 29, then it's the 29th. That's how I would get it. But you would celebrate the 1st. You wouldn't celebrate the 28th because no matter what, you're the day after the 28th. So I don't see the debate in which day you would celebrate your birthday, but who am I to judge? Celebrate your birthday any day you want. The 1st, the 2nd, who cares? Do whatever you want. It's Leaplings Day to Shine. Leaplings, they call them. Babies born on leap year are Leaplings. See, this family had a planned C-section on February 29th. She wanted to do this, so she, whatever. So those are the first two stories. Flacco the Owl and the Leap Year, both interesting stories. So you started off with Al Pacino and the Oscars and how he messed up the presentation of the biggest award. So Al Pacino is about 83, 84 years old. But they brought him out, and look, I'm not blaming him. None of these people who are the most supposedly the gifted, amazing people on the planet, right? We need 100 award shows for them. They're the greatest human beings since sliced bread. They're just so wonderful in their clothes and their this. Yet they can't read a teleprompt. They're sitting there like this, and the camera's here, and they're like this, and you see them reading, and it's very weird and very, I don't understand why it looks so poor. And you think they might even run through what they were going to say once or twice. As being actors, you might want to say, well, let me just see what's on the teleprompt so when I come out, I'm prepared. And it's not like they have 5 scenes or 20 pages of dialogue. It's basically a bad joke, and the nominees are. So, come on. But anyway, they tried to start the show earlier. They thought they would start the show earlier because obviously it runs so long, so they started at 7. I was watching one of the worst, if not the worst, New York Knicks game. Let me tell you how bad it is. I wasn't gonna slip to this yet, but let me see, because I was gonna save it for sports. But I was gonna have like a sports segment I was gonna do. But here it is. I thought this is a nice headline for today's paper. '73. So what that 73 signifies, and it's not who they were playing the 76ers. The 73 is the total number of points the Knicks scored, which, congratulations, is the new low in points scored in the NBA this year for a single game. 73. Knicks score season low point total in dismal night against Philly, and this was at home at Madison Square Garden. And Brunson was playing. I was watching this in horror, and I was like, I was watching it with my mom, and we were just like, what is going on here? This was terrible. I was texting with my nephew, and it was just terrible. So that was horrible to watch, and I flipped from one horrible event to the next horrible, which was the Oscars, and the show was just, I don't know, it's just so, they're so worried about being everything. They don't want to be called out for anything. But past shows, right, it's always, there wasn't enough this, or not enough representation, or you said the wrong thing, or this guy punched this guy in the face. So now they're like, go out of their way to be so vanilla, meaning it's just we just want to get through it and tell everybody how wonderful they are, right? They use those buzzwords. There's always those Oscar buzzwords when they, oh, you all inspire me. When they talk about their fellow nominees, oh, I just want to thank my fellow nominees. You all inspire me. They could care less. They talk about I'm so happy to have been seen. I was never seen. Now, this was a strong female character. It's always these same buzz phrases or words that are used by these people. Your work inspires me, blah, blah, blah. It's just take your award and go. The show could be done in an hour if you would just move it along. Then they did this another annoying thing I thought was very stupid. And it's not the first time they have done this. I don't know why people think it's the first time. They have done this before. But they have past winners of the category, say Best Supporting Actor. They have 4 or however many are in the category, say there's 5 actors. They have 5 of the past Best Supporting Actor winners come out and speak for a minute about that person and say their performance was legendary, but bigger than that is who they are as a person and as a human being. And that's another waste. Just read it off the card. Ugh. I thought they were going to have one decent moment when they were recognizing stuntmen. They said stuntmen are the backbone of this and that. And I said, finally, recognize a group that is putting in, as one of our previous guests, Brian Donahue, I was going to tell him, I was like, hey, they're going to have an Oscar for a stuntman. He, as you remember from my past show, is a stuntman and works, and they get hurt and work really hard. And so I thought, but then they were like, yeah, let's just recognize them, and they applaud. And it was like, I hate optics. I hate what they call eyewash, which is let's check a box and applaud people. It's really about us, but let's pretend we're nice people and applaud the minions beneath us. Like when Jimmy Kimmel talks about the strike happened and we want to applaud the crew and the Teamsters and all the people that work behind the scenes, and they dragged these people out. I don't even know if they were true union workers or if they just got people to dress up in suits, but they came out and they were in tuxedos and the people stood and gave them a standing ovation, to pretend like they care about these people, like they on some level care about people, the gaffers or the grips or best boys or these people, union carpenters or the Teamsters or all these people or the cafe, the craft, the food crafts that service these people for their sets and the scenes and everything like that. They could care less. They show up, these people are so high maintenance, living in a bubble. They don't know any of these people. But of course, when the cameras are on them, they want to be seen like they're applauding these little minion people that are beneath them. Oh, look, I'm applauding them. I'm a real person. I like people. I'm nice. That's what people want. They want to be nice. They want to have people say, look, what a nice guy Robert Downey Jr. is. He's applauding for someone beneath him. He's a great guy. He was a little weird last night. I like Robert Downey Jr. He wins. I didn't know it was his first Oscar. He won for Best Supporting Actor in Oppenheimer, which won everything. I saw Oppenheimer. It was 3 hours, 20 minutes. I actually dozed off a couple of times. It was too long for me. Even if it was great, it was very. You had to really. It was a real thinking movie. You had to really be locked in. You couldn't. I like to be at a movie where I don't have to work to be entertained. And I don't want to be challenged. I don't want to have to think. I don't want to have to figure out what's happening or ask or go, where are we? I always say a movie has my bathroom test. Can I go to the bathroom, come back, and still be able to follow the movie? If not, it's too much for me. And maybe that's on me. Maybe I'm not the smartest cookie in the bag. But that's the way I view it. Anyway. Who else won? Emma Stone won. It was all predictable. You knew Oppenheimer was, Cillian Murphy was going to win Best Actor. there was not a lot of good movies, but they had to promote it like there were. Maestro with Bradley Cooper, nobody saw that. The biggest controversy was the prosthetic nose. That was really all that came out of that mess. I don't know what Poor Things is. The cast is good. Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo. I heard good things about the Paul Giamatti movie, The Holdovers. Do I want to rent it for $6 on Amazon? No. If it was free, maybe I'd watch it. American Fiction. It was a couple of these movies. To me, it was not a great year for movies. I feel like they really had to scrape the bottom of the barrel, and by the attendance, the gross budget numbers, you could tell a lot of these movies did poorly. But this is the best of the worst, I guess you could say. They tried to do the Barbie thing. Ryan Gosling Jr. sang the Barbie song, and of course Billie Eilish won. They were going to give Barbie something. They had to, or else there would have been an uproar today. So they had to toss them a bone by having Billie Eilish. Her brother, Phineas, whatever her name, it's got to be weird for him because he's part of it. He's co-writer, he's co-everything. He writes, he plays, he's very talented, probably more talented than she is, and because he writes and does, and she's the one that's, has the fan base, and she's the performer, and she's more of the headliner or the mainstream name. So he's got to feel weird as the brother. He's like, it's almost like he's a tag along, even though he's not. And it was, even Ariana Grande, but I guess it was hard for her. If you saw what she was wearing, it was horrible. She was wearing this big pink, looked like a giant pink cotton ball. Like, she's very small and petite, so to wear something that big, she doesn't have the length for it. So it was just YouTube it and Google it or whatever, check it out. Not that she cares anyway. But they won, and then they're all hugging Billie Eilish, and he's like standing there like a dope, and it's got to be awkward for him. But what are you gonna do? I'm sure he has bigger problems. They're both loaded anyway, so what's the difference? Was interesting. I'm trying to see if there was any other. So Robert Downey, Emma Stone, Oppenheimer, stuff like that. There was a couple. I liked when Danny DeVito came out with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I liked them too. So I was actually showing my nephew over the weekend a little bit of the Arnold 3-part documentary. My nephew Jared's big into bodybuilding, and I thought he would really like to see the Arnold. So Arnold came out with Danny DeVito, and they were presenting a couple of film editing awards or things like that, which was nice. I like to see them. But there was a couple. That was pretty much it from the Oscars. It was a very bland show. It wasn't good. They just... I think the goal for them is to get through it without being embarrassed. And obviously Al took care of that at the end. Like, it was awkward. What he did was, at the end, he was confused, and he had the envelope, and you're supposed to say, recap all the nominees. Name all the movies, American Fiction, Barbie, Poor Things, and Oppenheimer, and the winner is, boom, and then that's the big, grandiose presentation. So he's got the envelope, and he goes, and I guess I'll open the envelope, and he opens, he goes, my eyes see Oppenheimer. And then the place is like everybody's looking at each other, and then they start playing music, so people start applauding, and they put two and two together that he didn't know Al Pacino just completely messed up. So, but it's and that's what I'm saying. I like, do different tributes, obviously, there's nobody run through these things with these guys. I mean, just run through it with him. What did they just, grab him off the street? Did Al just pull up to the award show like 5 minutes ago? Anyway. So that was the recap on. So I had to watch a terrible Knick game, and the Oscars were annoying, but it was good because I could fast forward a little bit of it, so I didn't have to watch the whole thing. It was just a little bit. Give stuntmen an award. Best stunt work, best stunt coordinators. there's a lot of things they could do there to recognize people. I know everybody wants to see Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone and Cillian Murphy and all these people, the name people, but I was in the Godzilla people won, and they came up, and it was like 50 of them came up and to accept. Like, I know you all want to have your moment and be recognized, and you probably all worked hard on the project and things like that, or maybe you were a producer. It's like when they win, but just send one or two people up. There's always one or two main people. Don't send 52 people up there just because you signed one check, or just because you made a phone call and now you want to call yourself a producer and go run up. They need to fix that. The Oscars have to say, no, we're not going to have 75 people come up on stage, just anybody that's ever had that even said the word of the name of the movie. No, just bring the two main people. There's always a couple of main producers. That's it. That's all you need to do. I mean, like Oppenheimer, there's two producers. That's it. So anyway, it's enough on that. And they all brought up rubber Godzillas, which was kind of odd. And Godzilla is one of my favorite. If you know me, I'm a big fan of the Godzilla. So that was good. This I thought. My mom is a big Steve Harvey fan. Don't ask me why. She loves Steve Harvey. It seems like he's such a ABC. He fits their wheelhouse for broadcast TV. He's a popular guy. Pretty squeaky clean. Has that middle America humor. They all kind of like him. Okay, he kind of serves the purpose of what the narrative they pitch. So Steve Harvey, he does Family Feud, and he's fine. I'm not a huge Steve Harvey fan. My mom's over the moon for Steve Harvey. So now he's got a new show. He's a judge. So I said, I don't understand. Is this allowed? Is this so? It says here he has a morning radio show on Family Feud. People want to spend more time with Steve Harvey. He is now a legal arbiter. Although it's more of a common sense legal arbiter, a scripted show. He doesn't have training. It's basically his wheelhouse is telling people what to do. It says here, what is he going to do? The idea was his. ABC came to him to ask him to do a sitcom. They really liked the ratings he's getting from Family Feud, and they said, what do you got? Pitch us an idea. So he told them he wanted to be a judge. If your life was only that easy, that a network could make me whatever I wanted to be. And he said he thought that would be funny. And it's just, so he's got what is this show on? It says it's called Judge Steve Harvey. It's on ABC, but it doesn't say when it's on. So, look it up. And if you want to see Steve Harvey as a judge. This is odd. Check this out. Well, we're at 7 o'clock now. And it's still pretty light out. And normally, right, when I do the show, by 7 o'clock it's dark. So this is the first spring forward show that we are doing. Wendy's. Do you know Wendy's? We all know Wendy's. Girl with the orange pigtails, Dave Thomas. Fast food establishment. So Wendy's is trying this new thing called dynamic pricing. So understand this. Costs on a menu fluctuate based on the demand and the time of day. It's a strategy that already has taken hold with several other companies. So during a conference, which is always a bad start, Wendy's CEO, and that's always where the worst ideas come from the people up top. The people that are so distanced from what is actually going on in their company. They're so bogged down with either lawsuits from whatever or stock and board company things. They have no idea what is going on in their stores, their restaurants, but every once in a while they come up with an idea because they're bored with their yachts and their helicopters and their millions. And they say, I'm going to do something because I can. And the CEO, this idiot, the Ohio-based burger chain will start testing dynamic pricing or surge pricing. It says here, what does this mean? With AI-enabled menu changes. So how does this work? Visual menu board should increase, further supporting sales. It says here, so basically what happens is with this dynamic pricing, so when menu options say a burger is $2.35, it's going to be more at dinner time. And it's going to be less after 8 o'clock. Because they'll say, look, people are just getting dinner from 6 to 8, so we're going to make the burger $3, but we'll drop it down after 8 because then it's going to be kids, teenagers that are not going to afford a $3 Wendy's burger. They're going to go later, so we're going to drop that same burger down. So it's not like McDonald's is always, $1.99 for a burger, $1.99 for a fish fillet, whatever it is. The pricing of the menu is the pricing on the menu. So they're going to try this dynamic pricing and things like that. And it's just another, to me, punch in the gut for the consumer of saying we're going to penalize you for going to our cheap product crap fast food restaurant and we're going to squeeze every last dime out of you. So if you dare to want to have our product for dinner, we're going to penalize you for that. And how are we going to penalize? We're going to make you pay more than if you were some kid that just finished smoking pot and had the munchies and wanted to get a Wendy's burger at 12 o'clock at night. We'll charge him 99 cents. But for the family that maybe wants to give their kids and family, a family of 5, family of whatever, and wants to, has to say, I want a cost-saving meal for my family. And again, I'm not a proponent or an advocate because you know me, I'm into health and fitness, dumbbells, of course. But what you're doing is you're penalizing those people. And it makes me think if they ever sit with people when they make these decisions and ever hear feedback and say, but they don't really care. If they cared, they would do that. And of course they don't care. So why even pretend to care? I think people should not go to Wendy's. I'm telling you, don't go to Wendy's. Why don't I take a stand on something? I never take a stand on anything. I'm going to call it out right now. Don't go to Wendy's. I've never eaten at a Wendy's, but so for me that's pretty easy. But I will tell you, do not go to a Wendy's. Do your best. So Rick Pitino might not be as crazy as I thought. Remember a few weeks ago I had mentioned that Rick Pitino, the coach of the Storm, St. John's, he had a press conference after a loss, and he said, I've been coaching for 40 years. This is the worst season I've ever coached in my life. He said. He came out and said this. He was like, I can't coach these players. I can't. He was just so animate, and so you were like, is this a joke? Because coaches always are, ever listen to Aaron Boone, the Yankees could be just making errors, striking out, setting all-time lows, and he'll, he's like, well, it was a little windy today, so you can't really expect much of them. And I think the sun was bright. He's the king of excuses. He'll never call out anybody. There's this, so I love Rick Pitino just getting in it. And which way worked? Well, the Yankees didn't make the playoffs last year, so it was about protecting the egos of these $100 million players. When you put yourself out there, you know what? I'm sorry, that comes with the territory. You have to be able to be criticized, and you're going to have to live with it in your mansions and in your Lamborghinis and in your Porsches and dating your models and whatever else you're doing. Yes, you're going to have to sometimes take a little criticism. So yes, I understand your manager is a puppet and he makes $100,000 and for him to tell you what to do is ridiculous, but it didn't obviously work for Aaron Boone, did it? all his protecting and saying the players are great and yelling at the news guy for ever daring to ask why a certain player hasn't gotten a hit in the last 7 months. How dare you question that? That's, we like what he's doing. He prepares. He works out every day. We see him in the gym. You don't. Well, who cares what he does in the gym? It doesn't matter. He's doesn't perform on the field. That's what fans see. That's what they pay to see. Fans pay to see things. They want to be. They want the value of their money. I wish players and managers and coaches and everybody would understand that all of this salary is from people watching TV, is from people going to the games. So you owe an explanation to your fan base when the team is not performing. So Rick Pitino goes out there and he goes livid, just goes off on a rail and a tangent, gets into his players, and what happens? Let's fast forward now and check this out. Shall we dance? St. John's wins 5th straight, now has a really good chance to go to the NCAA tournament. St. John's has been on fire. They have not lost a game. They are playing better than ever before. They just beat Georgetown 86-78. Their 19th win overall in the overall and 11th in Big East play, and are now a contention for a bid in the March Madness, which is coming up. The selection Sunday will be in a couple of weeks. So which way worked out better? Right? They didn't go out and get new players. They didn't go out and get in. He didn't quit. He just said this is unacceptable. If you're wearing a St. John's uniform, or if you're performing and you're getting a scholarship and you're playing, this is what we demand of you. It's okay to have certain demands of people when you're giving them an enormous value. Right? They're getting scholarships. Okay, and that's an enormous value. Have you ever looked what it costs to go to college? And I know collegiate athletes are like, we should be paid. This is ridiculous, because they don't value college education. When you tell them, well, you're getting a scholarship. And I get it, because I think there's got to be twofold. You shouldn't be able, because these colleges make an enormous amount of money off the players. I get it, right? They fill these arenas, especially these big TV contracts, playing Saturdays all day on CBS, and I get it, right? They're making tons of money. They're using there's college video games, right? The NCAA has, you don't just have the NBA 2K, you have the NCAA collegiate video games on Xbox and all of this. So they use those players' likenesses from all the teams. So yes, on that level, when there is those, so there has to be some kind of middle ground to say, well, maybe we're not going to pay you salary, but if your likeness or something is used, if we're selling your jerseys, that's different. If we're doing this, that's different. There needs to be a tier system set up. But if you did value an education, which you would hope that some of them would, 4 years going to a top-notch college like a St. John's, North Carolina's, Texas's, all these schools, Georgetown's, they're $50,000 a year minimum. I mean, you're probably looking at $200,000 to $300,000. It's something, right? It's not nothing, and it's even more of value if you actually attended a class. I played college sports. I played baseball for Hofstra, so I get it's grueling and it's hard, because especially on a Division I NCAA level, like, you're practicing night and day, and we get why you're there, right? You're not there to become a lawyer. We understand. You're 6'9", you're jumping out of the building, nobody's expecting you to have an economics degree. But maybe you take advantage and do something. So there has to be some. Anyway, I went off on a tangent, but St. John's, the results are, the proof is in the pudding, as they say, and Rick Pitino now has his team on the verge of going to March Madness. Good for him. And if I have to listen to another season of Aaron Boone telling me why the Yankees are good even when they're not performing, I don't want to be, if I have to be explained, then there's a problem. I should just know they're good. I don't want to be told what you're seeing is not what you're seeing. And I think that's the world, right, we're living in. It's well, don't worry about what you see. Worry about what I tell you. What I tell you is accurate, not what you see, because you're not smart enough to know or to understand what you see. Right? You're not smart enough. I will tell you so you understand better. Come on. Don't fall for that. Oh my God, here's the next interesting story. Speaking of gum, we're having a gum problem. Did you hear about this? Not gum on your teeth, but Bubblicious and the rest of the gum makers are in a conundrum. It seems that gum sales are on a new record low. Since the pandemic, it was hard to chew gum and blow bubbles when you were wearing a mask, right? So people were chewing gum, and they didn't really go back to buying gum. People haven't gone back to the way gum sellers have hoped. And Mars, 133-year-old company, which owns the Wrigley brand, is also repositioning and saying they might be getting out of the gum business. What they're trying to pitch now is that gum, they're going to try one last ditch effort to sell gum as a stress reliever, saying that chewing gum is a stress reliever rather than an occasional breath freshener. In January, the company launched a global ad campaign promoting its top-selling Orbit, Extra, Freedent brands as tools for mental well-being. Wow. So the people are really putting millions of dollars into this and other nonsense, saying that gum is a stress reliever. It's not. I mean, have you ever chewed gum? All it does is it creates stress, because gum does two things to you, and let me explain physiologically, if I may, as a personal trainer and someone, of course, from dumbbells. Gum does two things. It not only creates a pain in your jaw from it almost gives it its own version of TMJ, but it also, when you're chewing gum, the saliva that generates from that is acid that goes in your stomach and can upset your stomach. I know when I don't chew gum anymore. When I used to have gum, not to mention, even if you get a sugar-free gum, what is it sugar-free with? Aspartame or some other nutritive sweetener. So it's not that it's that. Yeah, I guess you can go to Whole Foods and get the most stevia-based piece of gum, but is it for $10 a stick? But is it worth it? And that's what gum does. So, yeah, I mean, it's fun. I played baseball, like I said, and it's fun to blow bubbles, and it's way better than chewing tobacco. As we see, you don't see baseball players chewing tobacco, and they don't want baseball players to present that image anymore as they did in the 80s and 90s, big chaws of tobacco, because that is just as bad as smoking. And we know what that does to you. So So in a sense, is a cavity the worst thing? They'll live with that. I mean, it's something you can at least live with. But I don't know if it's a stress release, because how are they saying that? Because you're chewing instead of biting on something? I don't see it as a stress release. To me, it creates tension in the mouth, and when you chew a lot, if you do that over and over again for an hour and you're chewing a piece of gum, which, by the way, how long does gum's taste last anyway? After the first 2 or 3 chews, you're like, well, what am I chewing? You're just chewing on nothing. You might as well be chewing on styrofoam, and it's just you're using those jaw muscles, and it almost creates a problem in the jaw and in the gums. No, I don't see it rebounding, and I think people are finally saying, you know what, blowing bubbles is fun, and who doesn't do that as a kid, and that should be a fun thing, but rebranding it as a stress release, I don't think so. I think you're just trying to reach for the stars there, and Mars might have to reposition itself and get out of the gum business, or just sell the gum. And it's not like they're. Do you know how much it costs to make gum? I mean, it's not like they're losing money. They're just not making the money they want to make. It's not like they're having this enormous gum problem. I don't know. You ever hear of shrinkflation? It seems like that's what's going on Long Island. This is something to look out for when you go shopping. It's called shrinkflation. Let me show you. Can you see that? Shrinkflation. So what this means is that you're paying the same price for less of a product. So say you used to pay $2 for a bar of soap, you're still paying $2, but maybe they'll package that soap a little smaller, and you might not notice because you don't look at the ounce. So maybe it's just a little bit smaller or a little bit less cookies in the bag, right? A little bit less. It says here, like dish detergent bottles are one example, and chips are another. Potato chips. It says they're putting air in the bags, more air in the bag, so the bag looks fuller. But maybe they'll put 3 or 4 or 5 chips in a bag. They're not filling it up. The bag is really half full. You must have gotten stuff like that where you like open it, the air comes out, and you're like, this bag's half full. Like it doesn't feel like anything in the store. You don't even know in the store. So again, it's another example of just cheating people any way they can. They're just consistently trying to get around. So that's what's happening. It's called shrinkflation. They're trying to present that everything is normal, but what they're doing is, it's like when you go to the store. I go to the store and I know what they're doing. Ivorone. I'll say the name, Ivorone Brothers, which I like Ivorone. My family goes there. And say if I say I'll have 2 pieces of balsamic chicken, or half a pound, whatever. They always give you over, or they always give you the biggest pieces they can find, and they try to look through it like they're trying to carefully pick something for your benefit. But of course, they've been told to do that and to give the biggest pieces. Obviously, they could charge more, which is fine. So you have to say what you want when you go into places and make sure, right? It's like, I'll have a half a pound of tuna salad, and they're like, oh, we went a little over. Is that okay? It's always, is that okay? They are told to do that. It's not an accident. It's not is that okay? And say, if it's not okay with you, say no. I said a half a pound. Take it out. Or charge me for a half pound and give me the 3/4 of a pound. But it's these little tricks, and if they do it all day long, it adds up to an enormous amount in the bottom line. So, just look out for that. Be on the aware as a consumer. Be alert. Don't let people take advantage of you. It's all about letting people take advantage of you. I don't know why I'm in this tangent today of not wanting you to be taken advantage of. But that's what I'm doing. I had to do something similar when I priced my book, Anything is Possible, the Jack LaLanne book. And I said, well, what would I buy the book for? I had to set a price, and I said, $10. That's an amount that I feel is worth, buying a book. It's not an arm and a leg because they don't know me as an author, and they don't know, But if you were interested in the topic, and you said, it's a quick read, it's a paperback, and I put a lot of work into it, so let's, boom, go with that. So I had to take into account, that and that who gets part and part. I don't get all of that for a sale. So, but I, tried to think hard in what was fair. I wish they would do a little bit more of that, but not so much. I would show you how Kermit's doing, and unfortunately, Kermit is holding my ring light because I had an accident. But let me show you Kermit. Kermit's getting a little bit thinner around the leaves and hanging on. But I've had this plan for a long time, so I'm going to try to, I'm not, get it back revived for the spring. I'm hoping it sometimes thrives in the spring, so I'm hoping to take care, keep it by the window, get some good sunlight, and see if we can revive Kermit. And Kermit is holding my ring light. So it's actually helping the show out way more than Steve is tonight. Who knows where Steve is. Anyway. Oh, this was interesting. Well, do I want to do that? There's another, Adam Sandler has a terrible, did you see that Adam Sandler movie, Spaceman? It's on Netflix. Oh my God, so terrible. It's, he goes into space. He plays an astronaut that he goes on a mission to Jupiter. While meanwhile his marriage crumbles back home, and I don't know how his marriage could crumble if he's on Jupiter. You would think that would be the best thing for a marriage, but the bottom line reviewer says the bottom line is it's so glum that it's hard to watch. It says this movie is so glum, and it just looks it. Even the picture, I watched the trailer. I was like, oh, I couldn't even watch the trailer. It looked so bad. It was just not good. Hey, let me announce this real quick. If you guys want to adopt a pet, they're still doing it. It was March 4th to March 10th, but you could still, the North Shore Animal League in Port Washington, 25 Davis Avenue, you can still adopt. And I'll give you a little bit of the, you can go to animalleague.org, or you can, let me give you the phone number, it's 516-883-7575, that's 516-883-7575, and look at these dogs, they need a good home, look how cute, adopt a dog, and or a pet, or a cat. I'm sorry. It's actually pet adoption, so it's not just dogs. I'm a dog lover, but they had a cat there too, and they obviously put the best looking ones on the back page, right? The most friendly looking ones. They don't obviously put a pit bull or something that looks like it's going to tear you from limb to limb. But it's the North Shore Animal League. And so they just finished this weekend. Yeah, yesterday was when they had the event, but they're still doing it. And like I said, it's the North Shore Animal League of America. So that you should do. Hey, say, look at that. 29th leap year, February 29th. So that was pretty cool. You guys big bowlers? They did this whole layout on going down memory lane and talking about bowling alleys around Long Island and some of the more historic ones. Do you still bowl, and are there still bowling alleys? Are they still thriving as an activity? I don't know. Do you like to go bowling? This is funny. Get it? Down memory lane? Down memory lanes? Bowling lanes? Very cute. Sounds like something we do. Let's see. I'm trying to see where they are talking about some of the most historic bowling alleys. Wow. Werner's. You can go to a bowling alley in Baldwin. It's called Werner's Bowling Alley. It's been there since 1940. Werner's Bowling has been there since 1940, so you can check that out. That is, oh no, it's actually closing. That's so sad. Wow, this is interesting. It said in the 1960s, per industry reports, the nation had about 11,000 or so bowling alleys. Over 11,000 bowling alleys nationwide. Now there are only about 3,000 left. People just don't, it's just a different thing. It's not, people used to go out to bowling alleys, birthday parties, right, when you were a kid, or things like that. It's another days gone by, an event that's maybe past. It's along with gum chewing, but there's not as much bowling alleys on Long Island. I remember a couple. I don't know. There was a bowling alley right near us called 300 Bowl, near my family. There's another one that's still around in Massapequa on Miracle Road. I believe it's still there, called Massapequa Bowl. I believe they are still there. But I know Bayshore has a big one. I always pass it on 5th Avenue. But yeah, I can see that there is not it is not, as big a thing. And I actually have my own bowling ball. I think I still do. I got into it for a while. I don't know. There was a couple of years there when I kind of got into it, and got a ball, and I was really, even thinking about getting shoes. I didn't go that crazy, but because I didn't want to I always like to go bowling. I didn't want to use somebody else's dirty shoes. But that's what I think. If you have your own balls, one thing. If you get your own shoes, you're a serious bowler. That's to me the criteria. You buy shoes, you're a bowler. I used to like to even watch it, and if Steve was here, and I'll ask him next week, Steve will totally go off on a tangent about. They used to have celebrity bowling for dollars, and celebrities would bowl, and it was a pretty cool show. And I think that would be a fun show to bring back. I know they have these Family Feuds and all these game shows, but I'd like to see people doing something other than giving quirky answers or trying to guess puzzles or trying to match what the other's thinking. Let's see some activities. I would love to see people bowl, and it could be celebrities. They could do a celebrity bowl again. I'm sure they'd find enough B-list. They could just go on Comedy Central. They could just they can get some bad comedians, a couple of reality housewives. They could get. They don't. I'm not talking about having De Niro and Brad Pitt bowl or Leonardo DiCaprio versus Emma Stone, although that would be good. But they could drudge up enough. I think that would be fun. I would like to see that. I'm sure now that I pitched it out there, somebody will produce it and get credit. But there was Steve will know this, a producer that was great at a Wink Martindale. See, I can get it out. It's not all Steve. I can do it. This Steve can give you some information. Wink Martindale production. Wink Martindale used to produce a lot of the game shows that we enjoyed. Tic Tac Toe, all of them, all of those Joker's Wild, and and all the rest. So people love that. So, but I enjoyed. I don't know. Maybe go bowling. Enjoy some bowling. They should do it outdoor with the nice weather. Maybe throw a couple of bowling alleys outdoor. People have them in their homes. The really not the everyday person, but some people that have money put bowling alleys in their home. So I don't know. I think that's fun. Find yourself a bowling alley. That's basically the crux of my suggestion. Hey, if you want some really, really good people to imitate celebrities, like if you want Dolly Parton to come to your party, obviously it's not Dolly Parton, this place here is really good. It's called Royal Princess Prep, and they have a lot of good, really good people that come. You can have all these. Marilyn Monroe can come, and that would be quite a feat. All of them, Dolly Partons and all the rest, and they can come to your birthday and sing for you, and charge not the same price that the regular Dolly Parton would charge for coming. So I think that's wow. And like I said, the movies right now are terrible. This Kung Fu Panda 4. They made 4 of these. Is number 1. It's terrible. Dune Part 2 is number 2. Imaginary, Cabrini, Ordinary, Madam Web. These are terrible. These movies. They list in the top 10 a movie that's made not even $1 million, $800,000. I mean, $700,000. It's terrible. It's just terrible. I don't know why. But, this is cool. Naked Gun, one of my favorites. The Leslie Nielsen Naked Guns is having a reboot. I have to talk to Steve about this. Liam Neeson is going to be playing, but I don't know if he's going to be able to pull that off. He's going to be the, Frank Drebin. Leslie Nielsen was so good at the Files of Police Squad and playing that bumbling detective with his strange, he did it so well with Priscilla Presley, was the girl he was singing. They were so good together in that. And she was good in that. And now they're doing a reboot with Liam Neeson. I don't know who the other person is. Akiva Schaffer. Okay. We'll see how good it is, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as good as the original. I think that's headed for a disaster. Liam Neeson's funny. He's older. I don't know if he could pull it off as well as Leslie Nielsen could. He's just so funny, Leslie Nielsen. But we shall see. It was one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid. Let's see if this is funny or not. Nah, I'll save this for next time. This is not. It was a Dear Amy, and it was a rank on a mother-in-law. But who doesn't rank on their mother-in-laws? It's nothing new. And I can see we're coming up on the bewitching hour of 7:32. So I thank you for spending some time with me on the Steve Square Show. So hopefully you've all now adjusted to the time change. It's actually now dark outside. And hopefully the weather will get less windier, more warmer, and more pleasant to handle outside. That's my wish, that it gets a little better. And next week we'll be in the studio April 1st. I'm going to start promoting it now because I've locked him in. Joshi, aka the Magician, we have booked for the studio. That'll be April 1st. So you have a couple of weeks. We'll try to talk about it again and tell you what he does. But you can. He's a magician around Long Island, and he's very good. Good as far as I know. I read about him, and I think would be a fun guest to have on. Who doesn't love magic? Everybody's had a magic hat or a wand at what time in their lives and wanted to. I tell you, as many times I'd like to make myself disappear, or Steve. So, but we will have him on April 1st. You can go on. I'll post a lot of that plus some dumbbells material on Stephen R. Kaminsky, my Instagram. You can check out there for any of your news, latest updates on the Steve Square Show or anything I have going on, dumbbells and the like. So for myself, for Kermit, who's helped us out on our remote shows, and for Governor's Comedy Club for sponsoring, we hope you have a wonderful, safe week, and we shall see you next week at 6:30 in the studio at